Well, it is that time of the night where you gotta hide your kids and wives, gentlemen, because we're talking about the Montauk Project, better known as Stranger Things. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, interdimensional beings, aliens, portals, mind control, MK Ultra, time traveling, believe it or not, and a whole lot of these shenanigans. Apparently, it is being said that Stranger Things is based off of the real-life Montauk Project, and season 5 is out, so you know what, let's actually get right to it. You don't have to like the video, you don't have to subscribe. Shout out to Andrew Visual, check this out, roll it.
My mind that Stranger Things is ending, and so many people still don't know that almost everything in this show is based on real life events. This is all 6 examples. The first and maybe main example is the Montauk Project.
Wait for it.
Montauk Project facility is essentially exactly what was the inspiration for Hawkins' lab. This is the show, this is real life, this was a secret government project that was dedicated to human experimentation. Predominantly experimenting in psychological warfare tactics. You see the resemblance. Number 2 is pretty disturbed. This is MK Ultra. This man here is Sidney Gottlieb. He is the direct one-to-one inspiration of Martin Brenner from Stranger Things. MK Ultra was an illegal human experimentation organization set up in the 50s that a lot of Stranger Things has taken inspiration.
The 50s was a crazy timeline, right? Not only that, we heard about the alien UFO crash, right? The Roswell incident. We also had the Philadelphia experiment. We apparently had the Montauk Project going around. You know, the CIA was also going crazy with tons of experiments. The MK Ultra, this, that, the other. And some say the Philadelphia experiment actually did work. Although they would always deny it. If you don't know about the Philadelphia experiment, it was basically time traveling. Essentially teleportation and time traveling as well.
Their whole goal was to use torture methods to eventually develop mind-control drugs. And it was also a secret, brutal attempt to harness psychokinetic power. Number 3 is the woman who essentially Eleven is based on, Nina Kulagina. Like I said, Nina was the inspiration for this character, and almost everything she does is based off Nina. Nina was a Russian woman that was experimented on brutally to harness her psychokinesis abilities. It was reported that just like Eleven in the show, things around her would shake and move when she got angry. Number 4 is the real life Upside Down. This all comes from a phenomenon that happened a while ago where there was...
Now this one, I mean, if this is actually linked with this one, that's gotta be one of the craziest plot twists ever, my guy. Because, of course, you know, in tons of UFO videos, we have seen people record lights like these, right? And we're talking pre-AI timelines, so yeah, right? Like, we're not talking about fake AI videos, but even before AI, yeah, people on flights, they would look down and they would see lights and they would just get their phones out and record. And to this day, we don't know what these lights are. Some believe that it's because of the ALMOs, the aliens. Others believe it's just whatever. And now apparently it's linked with the Montauk Project, the Stranger Things. Oh yeah.
Flashing red lights in the ocean over the Pacific, which looks very similar to the portals in the show. Specifically the fact that they actually had an underwater upside down portal that looked identical. Number 5 is the unidentified Amarillo Project. These photos right here were captured from the Amarillo Project. And many people believe this is actually the exact design that the Demogorgon is based off, because this was an unidentified creature that was caught on CCTV. And number 6, going back to Montauk, was the Montauk Monster. This creature sighting happened in the exact same area as the original Montauk Project, and turned out again to be an unidentified...
You know, it is being said that the gray aliens are considered to be like the bad aliens, the Nordics and the tall whites and the Arcturus from a planet called Arcturus. They are the good guys, right? That's what we hear according to conspiracies and theories, all right? So, yeah, I mean, what if the grays are actually the Demogorgons, or however you say it?
Creature that was related to experimentation facilities.
Right. Now, guys, check this one out. Shout out to the homie Metaphysical. Roll it!
Stranger Things is real, and the real-life story that inspired the series is infinitely more bizarre than the show could ever touch in 4 seasons. Strange beasts from other dimensions, mind control, time travel, alien technology, psychics hooked up to machinery to amplify their minds, invisibility, Mars travel, weather manipulation, frequency technology.
This one got it all, man. Oh my goodness.
Experimentation on children, and even Nazis. I barely scratched the surface because there's so much more involved in these leaked claims that led the Duffer Brothers to create Stranger Things.
Right.
This is literally the holy grail of high strangeness beyond what the world has ever potentially seen.
That's why Stranger Things is, like, so good, right? And people love it. of course, like the conspiracy nuts love it, but also people that don't even know about the Montauk Project, they love it because it's just fascinating. And the craziest thing is that it's inspired off a real life conspiracy. Oh shit! Whether real or not, yeah, we're gonna get into it, and needless to say, you're gonna get some. We're gonna lay the wood down pause on that one, but yeah.
So hold on to your hats, because by the end of this episode, I guarantee you won't be able to recognize up from the upside down.
Yeah.
Join me, investigative researcher Rob Counts, for a metaphysical show that's out of this world.
Yeah, let's get to it. And really quickly, though, I gotta take a second to shout out all of you guys out there, especially the homie Alma Coffee for becoming a brand new member on the channel. Thank you guys so much for all the love, man. The homie Robert, the Akuma, Cody. We apparently got 2 Codys, so that's gonna be an issue. That's gonna be a problem. No problem whatsoever. Shout out to all of you guys for all the love. The homie Sean, Shabanoti, Wild, Robert. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel the way you do, even when you know you don't have to. Appreciate all the love, guys. All right, let's get back to the content here, boo-boo.
Yes, I have to set the stage a little bit. Originally, Stranger Things was going to be called Montauk based on the government's highly classified Montauk Project that allegedly took place in the 70s and 80s at Camp Hero in Montauk, Long Island, New York. Now, some say it's all just a conspiracy theory because it sounds too outlandish. But after the government had to admit to many other confirmed human experiments like MK Ultra mind control, I say let's hear what the claims are before we jump to conclusions. The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, is a book that you can go read yourself, written by an electromagnetics expert named Preston Nichols. Nichols is considered to be the main whistleblower about this project, but many other people tie in too, whose testimonies corroborated being involved. This book and the story it tells about the history and happenings at Camp Hero are incredible. Why? The Montauk Project is inherently connected to other major classified projects that the government had been secretly experimenting on for the greater part of the 20th century. The ones you need to know about are the Phoenix Project, which had to do with weather manipulation, the Philadelphia Experiment, aka...
The chemtrails! The chemtrails! The Philadelphia Experiment, yep. The time traveling, you know, the teleportation, big time. Yeah, that was a crazy one, definitely.
Project Rainbow, which had to do with invisibility, cloaking, and time manipulation, MK Ultra, which had to do with mind control, and Operation Paperclip, which happened after World War II to bring in the top Nazi scientists from Germany to the United States. Sure, no ethical problems tied to any of these, right? Multiple whistleblowers like Preston Nichols, Al Bielek, and Duncan Cameron, to name a few, along with intricately detailed extrapolations on history, technology, and the timeline of events, make this project kinda impossible to debunk. I know because I tried. But in order to unravel all of
it's like they brought in all the greatest minds. So they were like, okay, you worked on MK Ultra, you hired. You worked on Philadelphia Experiment, you hired. And all that, which is just insane, right? To think about. So they brought in all the brightest minds together, and they were like, let's work on all that. And let's be real, you know, MK Ultra, mind control. CIA has done it, right? Although they say that they were not able to achieve it fully, or they didn't achieve it at all. I call bull squash on that one. But even if Montauk Project is real or not, the thing is, let's be objective here. We humans, we crazy like that. We batshit crazy. So there is no doubt in my mind that at least we toyed around with the ideas of, you know, let's experiment with this. Let's see what we get out of it. Let's experiment time traveling, you know, and interdimensional beings, aliens, opening up the portals, and weather manipulation, obviously, right? Yeah.
All of this, we're going to need a synopsis of who Nichols is and what exactly happened.
Nicholas accounts.
For those who don't know, the main whistleblower behind the Montauk Project leaking to the public what happened is Preston Nichols, a radio and electrical engineer who became an expert in electromagnetic phenomena. Nichols worked for a defense contractor in 1971. In legalese, that means any person who enters into a contract with the United States to furnish materials, industrial resources, or a critical technology for the national defense, or to perform services for the national defense. While working there, a series of strange events started to occur to him. Outside of work, while he was doing experiments, Nichols detected a strange signal. Tracking it down, it seemed to be coming from Montauk Point. Investigating further, Nichols traveled to what he thought was the source of this disturbance and found that the old base called Camp Hero was the source. But something was off. This base was known to be defunct and inactive for a number of years. But here it was, active and highly guarded. On the base was an old World War II radar system called the SAGE radar, something capable of creating the disturbance he'd notice if it were active. Of course, Nichols was stonewalled at the gate and never got in, so he basically shrugged and let the matter go. Several years later, though, a friend who knew he was interested in what was going on there told him the base was suddenly now abandoned. When he took a look, he found debris strewn everywhere and a lot of really expensive equipment that he wanted to obtain. Nichols came back to the site with a scrapping contract to load up his nerd van with all that equipment strewn around. But this is where it all started to get stranger. He bumped into a Camp Hero hobo who claimed to have been there since the base had been abandoned when the Beast appeared. And as weird as that was, it wasn't the craziest thing that he said, because Homeless Bro claimed to recognize him and even know him well. What? A couple weeks later, someone barged into Nichols' house claiming that Nichols was his boss. But Nichols didn't recognize the man at all. These strange occurrences led him into an all-out investigation into what the heck was going on at Montauk. He camped out near Montauk Point and started asking the locals about their experiences with the now abandoned Air Force Base. The locals reported bizarre activity like snow in the middle of August, hurricane-force winds that came out of nowhere, thunderstorms and electrical storms when there was nothing on the weather radar. Large number.
I guess like modern day CERN is trying to do almost the same thing, right? Maybe not like the same thing, like same exact thing, but they're like toying around with the portals and opening up the portals. The God particle, they're trying to find that. Apparently they found it already. I don't know if they publicly said that or not, or whether that's like just a conspiracy theory. But yeah, according to conspiracy theories, that's what CERN is trying to do.
Numbers of animals would suddenly come into the town, some crashing into windows. A chief of police who Nichols talked to said that crimes would inexplicably happen all at the same time during 2-hour intervals, stop, and then start up again. Teens were reported to suddenly arrive somewhere in the Montauk village all together in groups for 2 hours and then, as if coming out of a daze, disperse. Nichols then started snooping around more at work after receiving mail addressed to him, but calling him an executive at his agency, which he wasn't. Right. He started finding band-aids on his body that would appear when he'd never put any on.
That's
all
not
of this
good.
Culminated in him wandering into places he shouldn't be at work and discovering an executive office where he found a nameplate on a desk that said Preston B. Nichols, Assistant Project Director. It was almost like he was leading a double life with no record of his activities. How was he having all of these experiences outside of his normal life that didn't match up with his memories? At the end of this episode, professional remote viewer John Vivanco will give us more information about Nichols' story and his state of mind that will shed more light on this. So stay.
Yeah, I wonder like... by the way, let me know what year you're watching this video, right? Because obviously, by the time I'm recording this, Stranger Things Volume 1 for Season 5 came out, and we gotta wait for, like, Volume 2 and the finale, which is gonna be on New Year's Eve. So, yeah, let me know what year you're watching this, because, you know, the Demogorgon, or is that how you say it? You know, the entities that we see in the season, the bad guys, right? The bad guys with a crazy-ass mouth like this. It is being, yeah, like, what if... I think this is portrayed as the interdimensional beings. And the CERN conspiracy is also very interesting because not long ago we had a whistleblower come out and I made a video on it, and it's on the channel. Like in fact, I made like 2 or 3 videos so far on the topic of CERN. And in one of those videos, we had one of the whistleblower coming out and say that, yep, CERN was able to open a portal and they did communicate with an interdimensional being. Oh shit! And when you actually paired this Montauk Project, Stranger Things, and the CERN situation, I mean, yeah, I mean, it feels like that whatever they were doing at Montauk, if real, they were trying to contact those interdimensional beings, right? In other words, what you call demons, right? Aliens and demons, basically 2 different things, but some believe that aliens are demons. I mean, if you believe that, you believe that, right? I'm not trying to change your mind or anything like that, but apparently when you say aliens, it just means... that aliens, humanoids, intelligent race, doesn't have to be intelligent. I mean, a bacteria on a different planet can be alien. Bruh. In a nutshell, right? And it is crazy that just a couple of months ago, NASA actually came forward and said that they found microbial life on Mars. I'm not sure if you heard that. Let me actually pull up and show you that in a second. But yeah, we heard that. And yeah, who's to say that they didn't communicate with any interdimensional beings or not? I mean, shit's crazy, man. It's freaky and it's fascinating.
Stay tuned. But after finding one another in this process, Nichols and other whistleblowers came out publicly about their collective discoveries, and he claimed his full memory came back to him around 1990. Shortly after that, he was laid off from work. Just what exactly happened in the Montauk Project that was so secretive that even their participants weren't allowed to remember? Now that we've covered that, we need to take a step back, and I want to give you everything you need to know about the government experiments that led up to the Montauk Project.
Uh-oh! And yeah, while we're on it, so this is what NASA said, right? It's been a couple of months right now. So they done a live stream, I believe, or a video, but they officially said that. I remember I covered that too. NASA has announced the strongest evidence yet for the possibility of ancient microbial life on Mars. Technically, that's alien in nature, right? So if you find any sort of life outside of the planet, that's what you call alien. But obviously, when you say aliens, generally speaking, we humans, we get to the conclusion of humanoids, intelligent race, far superior than us humans, right? But generally speaking, aliens are another life form on a different planet, not from here, essentially. And demons, I guess that's what you would call interdimensional. Secret experiments. Oh.
The United States has a rich history of using science and scientists to develop technology to defend national security. A lot of this tech culminated in the 1940s during and around World War II. For instance, the Manhattan Project was started to build a bomb that could end the war. Operation Paperclip was secretly developed to absorb into America all of the maniacally brilliant Nazi scientists that were developing technology already much further advanced than anywhere else on the planet.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Nazis that came over to America, but brilliant Germans and Europeans in general who came over too. Dr. John von Neumann was allegedly one of these, and also alleged to have been involved in the Montauk Project. Neumann was a brilliant mathematician and theoretical physicist who had arguably the most advanced concepts of space and time available at the time. Now, Neumann helped in the Manhattan Project and with numerous other things, including, as I said, the Montauk Project, according to Preston Nichols. Now, the US was attempting to create a cloaking device that could hide a ship from an enemy's radar. The Philadelphia experiment, aka Project Rainbow, which came from this attempt, was simultaneously the biggest success and disaster potentially ever recorded. On October 28, 1943, the US attempted to create an electromagnetic bottle effect to that end. Well, what the heck does that even mean? Essentially, this would be an electromagnetic force field around a naval ship that would allow it to escape enemy radar. There was a crew on board the USS Eldridge Navy destroyer escort for the Philadelphia experiment. To make a long story short, not only did the ship disappear from radar, but allegedly it disappeared entirely, showing up hundreds of miles away, then reappearing where it started.
Yeah, that's the story, that's the theory, right? Or perhaps that's the truth. But the Navy denies it! The Navy said that never happened. We tried it. They said we tried it, but it never worked. Yeah, I wonder, right? I wonder, man. And obviously, they have repeatedly said that it did not work. And this is one of those conspiracy theory, or call it conspiracy, whatever. But a lot of people believe in this one. A lot of people believe that it happened. It did work. And they repeatedly said it did not. And the more they tried to say that it did not work, the more people were like, nah, aha, it worked. Otherwise, they wouldn't be telling us it did not work. So, yep.
So the experiment was successful, right? Well, not for the crew. Most of them were fused and melded into the ship. For the ones who survived, the apparent time anomaly and trauma from the experiment drove them mad. Crazy people from the event made plausible deniability of the entire experiment really easy. But hey, it led to the stealth fighter tech, right? But that's a whole other episode entirely. Now, I want you to comment below if you want us to do episodes on
really
the Philadelphia
quick,
experiment.
Real quick, though, it is also being said that the stealth bomber, the V2, is it the V2? B2 stealth bomber, and the skin of it, especially, and the skin of that stealth fighter jet, it is being said that that's alien technology. That it's being taken off of the UFOs, or reverse engineered from the real UFOs and used on the B2 stealth bomber and all of these stealth tech to stay hidden from enemies' radar.
We probably got to get to that one. These substances, and he theorized that a storm with more dead orgone energy, as he called it, would be much more powerful because of an overabundance of that energy. If you balance the storm by shooting positive orgone energy into it, that would theoretically dissolve the storm entirely. Theoretically. So Reich went ahead and built a cloud-busting ray gun that he used to disperse storms before they started. Now, you may be thinking, well, that's just a storm, Rob. Why would the government care? Well, this wasn't just about the weather. Harnessed correctly, could you start to influence animals or even humans with these positive and negative energies? According to the Montauk Project, yes. One of the most startling things about the show Stranger Things isn't what they sometimes say, but what they don't say. I found what could be one of the craziest Easter eggs in the series I haven't seen anyone else mention. At the end of Season 4, which was released in 2022, the Duffer Brothers, who created the show, used a memorable song by Kate Bush called Running Up That Hill. Remember that, right? It fit in perfectly with the events taking place in the show and made Kate Bush a whopping $2.3 million from royalties for a song released back in 19...
That was a banger song, though. That was a banger song. And in terms of weather manipulation, obviously, right, that's no longer a conspiracy. We know that we've been trying to do that, and we have achieved it to a certain degree, or maybe to a full-on degree. And it's also is said that to become a type 1 civilization, right, because there are 3 types. I mean, we're trying to achieve the... maybe one day. Okay, but there are 3 types of civilizations. Number 1 is, and we're not even type 1 civilization, by the way. Bruh. We're getting close to it, and maybe we're gonna get to it. It is being theorized, and that's what was said a couple of years ago, that it would take us like 50 to 100 years, 75 years, that's kind of like the average, but let's just say 50 to 100 years to become type 1 civilization. And one of the pillars to become type 1 civilization is to be able to harness the entire power of our planet, including weather manipulation, including you being able to control the weather on your dang planet. And then it's like, okay, you know, utilizing and type 2 harnessing the power of the stars around you, including sun, and type 3 would be like even bigger than that, which, I mean, I don't think we're gonna be around for that one, to witness that one, if it works. Even if it works or not, like, we're not gonna be around for that.
1985. You gotta wonder, though, why Kate Bush? Why that song? In 1985. You gotta wonder, though, why Kate Bush? Why that song? Did you know that she also released a song called Cloud Busting in the same album starring Donald Sutherland in the music video? The song is about Wilhelm Reich, and you gotta wonder whether this was an accident or whether the Duffer Brothers have done as much research as I have on this stuff. Who are the Duffer Brothers, and how much have they been let in on? Or was that just a coincidence or from their research? That itself is another huge rabbit hole that I can't even begin to unravel here. Now, finally, at the end of this list of crazy operations the government was working on, intelligence agencies were also experimenting with mind control studies for a large part of the 20th century, MK Ultra being the most notable. Why was this project important? Because how can you run highly classified secret operations unless you have a way of wiping everyone's memories? Or at least complete control. Now, my goal is to give you a background of things that led to the Montauk Project, because first and foremost, the Montauk Project seems to be an accumulation of all of these previous moves, as you'll see here.
And it is being said that they were not able to successfully do, that's the official version, right? Yep, they tried it. Guys, we tried it, okay? We tried it, but it did not work to the extent we intended for it to work, or intended to work. And, you know, if you talk to people that do hypnosis or hypnotize people or hypnosis, even the hypnosis is not what we have seen in the movies. You know, in the movies we have seen, okay, you know, you do the clock thing and the other person is completely hypnotized, cannot even think on its own. You tell him to do something and it will do, right? But in real life, that's not how it works. Hypnosis is not necessarily what we think it is. I mean, it's real. Hypnosis is real, but you're aware. You're not like going into like a la la land or something like that, and you lose control over your impulses or your mind, or it doesn't work like that. But you become suggestible. It's like gateway to your subconscious, essentially, right? So if you're somebody that, I mean, very good example here. If you're somebody that had a trauma, or you had several traumas as a kid, you know, it's one way to change that actually, and to implement or put in positive thoughts in your mind so you can overcome that. People actually do that, and it works for, yeah, whether you want to believe it or not, it's like a real thing. So people do that. And also, if you want to implement like positive thoughts and you know, and shit like that in your mind, that works too. So yeah, and essentially the way you achieve hypnosis is by being relaxed, okay? And it's like the state right before sleep. You know, because there are several states, right? When you go to sleep, obviously you're gonna be tired, and then you're gonna get a little lightheaded and you fall asleep. So the state before you fall asleep, that's kind of like the good window that is a good window to your subconscious, and also that's part of the hypnosis as well. So to be able to be hypnotized, you gotta be very much relaxed, right? And you become suggestible. But it's not anything like where you can 100% control somebody's mind, or where they lose the ability to think rationally or anything like that, at least for most people, right? General public, general population. And it is being said that the MK Ultra and mind control is basically that. So they tried to completely take over somebody's mind, and they failed at it. Whether that's real or not, I mean, I have my doubts, obviously, but what we do know is that hypnosis doesn't work the way we think it works, so you still have control over your impulses and your mind and all that. So maybe you also have control over when you're getting MK Ultra, or maybe not, Yeah, it's one of those things that we'll never know, I guess, officially. The Montauk Project. Oh.
What was the Montauk Project, and what really happened at Camp Hero in Montauk, New York? According to Preston Nichols, by the time Congress finally disbanded Project Rainbow, that is, the technologies around the USS Eldridge and the disappearing ship developed for covert cloaking that seemed to bend time and space, they had already built a huge technological empire around this. They also had a massive amount of information from Wilhelm Reich and the studies done on Orgone from developing his advanced technology, which could 100% affect a person's mind. If you think that's a stretch, look up the peripheral evidence on the Voice of God technology, which could stop a war before it even started by beaming the sound of a human voice across a distance into enemies' minds. In order for something like the Montauk Project to work, there would have to be ways for the military-industrial complex and intelligence agencies to carry out projects that were so classified they were above the oversight of Congress and top leadership. All of this we can consider to be true unless we're totally naive. I mean, the CIA has allegedly found ways around this for decades. If you don't believe it, go watch the movie American Made with Tom Cruise. According to the real events depicted in this movie, the CIA...
There is zero doubt in my mind. Whether we achieve success through these experiments or not, that's debatable, and that's one thing. You know, that's where you would call it conspiracy or conspiracy theory, right? Whether they achieved it or not. But them experimenting, 100%, right? Like, they did experiment it. They did try it. Like, the nature of us humans biologically is curiosity. And we've done all that shit, bro. We've tried it. At the very least, we've tried it. Whether we achieved the results or not, that's like up for debate. But we've tried it 110%.
Go watch the movie American Made with Tom Cruise. According to the real events depicted in this movie, the CIA funded operations by bringing in money from the drug trade. Or you can check out the real events in the movie The Laundromat with Meryl Streep.
Bribery, corruption, money laundering, millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Now, in order to put all of this accumulated tech and R&D into effect, they needed a place to experiment and push all these projects forward together. The military base at Camp Hero was the perfect location, because not only did it have facilities, but the key factor was that it also housed the then defunct powerful SAGE radar from World War II that could emit the proper frequencies for their experiments, which caused all the wacky accounts of bizarre activity in the area.
Oh, dang.
We're talking tests on servicemen without their consent, teenagers gathering at certain locations in Montauk without knowing why they were there, and so much more. But those mysterious events were just the tip of the iceberg. The SAGE radar could emit frequencies that Preston Nichols reported interfered with the psychics he was running experiments on when he was working under a defense contract. The frequencies that created this disturbance were recorded between 425 and 450 megahertz. Yeah, that's right. Nichols was working with psychics. Stay tuned for part 2 in the series where I'll dive into that. As you'll see, undocumented and without oversight, the Montauk Project was like MK Ultra mind control on steroids, and by 1971, it was up and running. The difference here was that the technology built into the SAGE radar was set to emit frequencies. Now, here's where things get even weirder when we start learning how all of this worked. The SAGE radar was hooked up to a chair inside a shielded room. whoever was in the chair controlled the Sage radar. So who did they put in the chair? Well, a psychic, of course. What the heck? This is like a jacked up Professor X with a nightmarish amount of energy. The psychic who was used the most for these experiments was a man named Duncan Cameron, who also appears to be one of the major whistleblowers for the Montauk Project.
Whoa!
They weren't just experimenting with emitting waves to control people via the radar, but they were also experimenting on the people in the chair themselves and their exposure to the energy being emitted, which caused a lot of damage, but we won't get into that here for time's sake. Now, it's important to note here, though, that an overarching theme with the whistleblowers coming forward was, at least in part, the unethical experimentation that was going on. At first, the Montauk Project tested different waves and wavelengths, seeing how the waves could change human behavior and change brainwaves. But they needed live subjects to do that. Well, according to Preston Nichols, the Camp Hero base, which was on the beautiful coast of Long Island, would sometimes house invited servicemen for rest and relaxation.
Yeah.
While there and without any kind of
yeah, I mean, I guess they were not lying. Yeah, you know, like I said, to be able to control somebody's mind, at least through hypnosis, they need to be relaxed. So I guess they were not lying. Yeah, come here, kids. Let's actually do an experiment on you, and you're gonna feel calm and relaxed. Yeah, man, fantastic about that one.
consent. These servicemen would be subject to these waves being beamed at them, and the scientists observed the effects on the men's mood. But it didn't stop there. The Montauk Project pushed these experiments further.
Yep.
Next, these experimentations were also allegedly done on the townspeople of Long Island and civilians in Connecticut, New Jersey, and even upstate New York to see just how far of a distance people would be affected. And all of this was to generate enough data to see exactly how all of this wacky behavior manipulation could work. The people or psychics involved in the Montauk Project were not being used for no reason either. Understanding the psychics' emitted waves and recording them could enable the scientists to replicate the waves' effects, at least in part, without a human needing to operate the entire thing. After several years, they had created the ultimate mind control device. At this point, we need to dig into the functions of the Montauk chair, because not only is it shocking, but the chair and the recordings of the waves were also just the beginning.
Yeah, oh, the Montauk chair.
Now, as the story goes, scientists at Camp Hero in Montauk, New York created technology that could decode the thoughts of their psychics sitting in their special chair and display and record them with a supercomputer. How do we know it's possible? Well, as an electromagnetics expert, Preston Nichols went into an absurd amount of technical detail about what computers were used for at the time and how all of this worked. I'll omit the technical mumbo-jumbo and just stick to the basics, though. In trying to build the chair, Nichols claimed that our everyday technology could only take them so far, so they had to use a mixture of almost every accumulated invention of note.
Dang, right? Look at all these computers, bro. And now you have that in the palm of your hands. Yep, our modern-day phones perhaps they are more stronger than whatever we had back in those days, right? Yeah, the innovation. I mean, yeah, go back in the 70s and show this technology to somebody, they would call you alien. You know, they would be calling you, freak, and not from this planet.
Including Tesla coils and even alien technology to finalize the chair. What the heck? Essentially, this thing was like a human thought display, visualizing the thoughts on a screen and amplifying the person's thoughts in the control chair. So technicians could not only observe the subject sitting there, but also any thoughts they had actually visualized on screen. Of course, it was described that it took years to get all of this working correctly, with a ton of research and development to overcome issues that were constantly coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
I know
yeah.
all of this sounds too crazy to believe, but this is literally the story of the Montauk Project.
I mean, no, it doesn't sound that crazy. It doesn't sound that crazy. After we have been desensitized through media, after we have been conditioned to believe it as well, right? Yeah, those people that call cover up, distraction, or Project Blue Balls or Project Blue Beam, whatever. I mean, the people that question it, you know what? Respect. Absolutely. You gotta question it, regardless whether you believe in this topic or topics and all these different conspiracies or not. One thing that we all need to be together on is the fact that you gotta question it, right? Regardless whether you believe it or not, though, you gotta question it, because what is real, what is false, right? You don't know. We don't know what is real. But yes, one thing is for certain, we have done crazy amount of experiments, crazy. And in some, obviously, bro, we have succeeded. In others, maybe not so much, but we're trying to, you know what, push past failure, try again. And I guess that's what happened with this one, right? If real. But nah, man, we humans, we crazy like that.
And our job with Metaphysical is to tell you what we find and then reveal whether any of it could be true, which I'll be getting to shortly. Other bizarre experiments were conducted too, which seemed to cross the occult with science. For example, they would hand their psychic Duncan Cameron a came up that confused the technicians and scientists. This psychic's ability to manifest things in 3D seemed to stop working all of a sudden, or so they thought. They noticed that whatever object that Cameron focused on would materialize hours later than they expected, and this changed everything, because this wasn't a glitch at all. It was a time anomaly. For the next couple of years, they scrapped everything they knew and focused solely on understanding how the technology they were building could be used to manipulate time and space. Using Cameron in the chair, they began experimenting with Montauk to anywhere in time. And if you were thinking this couldn't get any crazier than that, it does. Nichols claimed the book Alternative 3 is real, which in a nutshell claimed that humans would put a colony on Mars. Well, humans have done that according to his account, and the top brass at Montauk was aware of this off-world colony and were somehow in touch with those living there. Nichols claimed they were trying to get into the underground caverns that were below the Cydonia area, which is where the infamous face on Mars is. These
Hide yourself in the bunkers, the Martians are here. Yeah, man, this is, I don't know about that one, man. Obviously, they say that they want to put 1 million, I believe it was Elon Musk, right? Was it Elon that said that he want to put 1 million people by 2050 on Mars? And we heard that 2025 is when, you know, we're gonna put first man on Mars, but that hasn't happened yet. I believe they delayed it to 2026 or 2027. So yeah, remains to be seen, but by 2050 they said maybe it's gonna be delayed again. You never know, right? It can be, obviously things can happen. But yeah, 1 million people on Mars. I don't know about that one, and this says that we already did. I don't know about that one. That's crazy.
Mars colonizers were looking to utilize a previous civilization's face on Mars is. These Mars colonizers were looking to utilize a previous civilization's technology and needed to get down there, but they were having an impossible time doing so. Using the Montauk Project's technology, though, they were able to create a warp tunnel to explore the caverns and find what they needed. All of this is totally insane.
Yeah.
Most of these time experiments leading up to the more covert missions, like the Mars one, were done using the homeless and people who Nichols claimed would not be missed if something went wrong.
Makes sense.
For some reason, children were also sent through these portals. Some believe it's because children are more open and able to access amazing powers, like the kids in Stranger Things who were just called numbers like 1 and 11.
Yeah.
Apparently, due to the
yeah, it does make sense that they would use children to do this, because children are very easily manipulated and they are very suggestible. They're not necessarily, if you make things fun for them, they're gonna be like, yeah, I'll take it, you know. You want candy? Yeah, man, you bet those motherfuckers would be like, yeah, they want candy. So kids are easily suggestible. It's just us, the older folks, that we're gonna say, no, thank you, that'll be good, right? And when you say, no, I'm good, it doesn't work. It wouldn't work, right? Because you already have made up your mind by saying no, so you don't want to do it. But kids, I mean, yeah, man, you try to be nice to kids, and God knows what else they suggested to them, right? If true. So yeah, kids are easily and kids' imaginations are very strong as well. Remember the time when you were a kid, right? I remember when I was a kid. I don't remember, to be honest, though.
Bruh.
But yeah, no, I remember the fact that, you know, imagination is crazy when you're a kid. So yeah, I guess shit like that would work very well with kids.
Nature of time experimentation and the glitches that would occur before they stabilized this tech, thousands of people who were a part of the experiment were lost in time. As you can imagine, this created a huge moral rift between the people working on the project and the administrators who were calling the shots, which grew larger and larger over the course of time. And this ended up culminating in disaster. On August 12, 1983, the Montauk scientists were given the order to turn on the SAGE radar transmitter indefinitely. 7 days later, all hell broke loose when the transmitter seemed to lock in on something else.
Ooh.
It had created a wormhole that connected with the USS Eldritch, the vanishing ship that had disappeared exactly 40 years earlier. Preston Nichols and some others who'd been very dissatisfied with the executives running the project gave psychic Duncan Cameron a signal, and he allegedly let loose a psychic beast on the premises of Camp Hero, which destroyed everything in its path. And this ended what we know as the Montauk Project. Or did it? Okay, now I want to get into whether any of this could be true. I mean, all of this seems way too much to believe. So I asked John Vivanco, our resident professional remote viewer, to look into whether there was...
And for the newbies out there, remote viewer essentially means you can sit here and close your eyes and see what's happening around the world, around the universe, for that matter. You can sit here, close your eyes, and see what's going on. And if you have seen Stranger Things, if you have, you know the answer, right? That's what L11 was doing in Stranger Things. She was able to view what was going on, except for the wall. You know, something outside of the wall she could not see, right? If somebody takes somebody and hides them behind the wall or goes behind the wall, she couldn't see. But rest of it, yep, she could remote view and see what was going on. That's apparently is the conspiracy theory. And it is being said that and there have been so many people claiming to have been remote viewing, and it's just one of those things, whether either you believe it or you don't believe it, right? I'm not saying if this is real or false. It's just that there's just way too many remote viewers claiming that they're able to, and all these remote viewers, whether you want to believe it or not, they do say that we all possess the ability to remote view. Essentially, we all do. It's just that you need to practice and you need to unlock. How do you unlock it? I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna one day find time to actually research that and see if I can remote view or not. And if I'm able to, I guess I should not be saying that, because then nobody would believe you, right? So then you're gonna sound like a cuckoo. Or maybe if I'm able to, I'll let you guys know that, yeah, man, I remote viewed. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, imagine you remote view a place and then you get in somebody's, like, okay, I don't even wanna, like, think about that. Okay, like, let me not even say that on YouTube, bro. What the hell?
Any truth to the sensational claims that Preston Nichols made in his book and interview?
Like, imagine remote viewing your friends actually taking a shit in their bathroom, right? Bruh. That's the type of shit that I was thinking right now. I know it's crazy. So yeah, I don't even know. For the sake of it, just because I had this thought, I don't even want to learn how to remote view, bro. I don't even, because I know if I'm able to remote view, that's the first thing my subconscious would do, and nah, I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to do that, bro.
And you're not going to believe what he found. Roll it.
Oh, so that's remote viewing data. Let's see what he says.
In the late 1990s, early 2000s, I was working in this remote viewing think tank, and we were approached by someone in an intelligence agency with a request, which was a semi-normal occurrence. Now, because whatever they wanted us to look at was likely classified, all they could say was, hey, you know, can you look at something that some scientists may have done and the repercussions of it? Now, with remote viewing, it's not a big deal to task on this and get good information, because only the client can relate this information to an event, and this keeps us protected if in fact there was a classification on it. So we looked at it, and our data was describing something that some scientists did do, just like he asked, just like he was thinking. And they did this because they knew how, not because it was right, but because they knew how to do it. In fact, there was a lot of hubris around this. There was a lot of ego around this. But they didn't have the whole picture, or like a universal understanding, or universal implications about what they were doing. They just did it because they could. And what the data described on what they did was that they had opened up through technological means, well, a portal of sorts. But it was more than that, and slightly different. It was more about changing the basic structure of our dimensional reality by merging it in part with another reality, so it becomes fused. And this,
yeah, they're trying to play God. Essentially, that's what Cern trying to do. You know, that's what Cern trying to do.
This is something catastrophic, something that should not go together with our reality. It's also unchangeable after it's done.
Ooh.
It'd be akin to like ice cream and mustard or socks with sandals, but with reality altering effects that are unchangeable. And from this, the data described that there was some type or types of creatures that now had access to our reality, and they can move freely in and out of it. Now, we didn't know what this was about, right? We did the project and we just gave the data back to the contact. And he basically said that he thought this was the case, and it's kind of unfortunate, and that was it. Now, later on, I recalled seeing the depiction of the Montauk monster on the series Stranger Things. And when I saw it, I suspected it was so similar and it acted in such the same way as this data in this tasking that I suspected that this project was related to Montauk.
Right.
So this is years later, right? Obviously. And I decided that we needed to dig deeper into the Montauk Project. We had viewed it, I think, once in the past, deep past. But I wanted to see if there were any similarities between the Montauk Project and what this intelligence officer had tasked us on.
Yeah.
The data is very similar. Where we have scientists doing something that they can do, they can do it, so they're going to do it, but they should not be doing it. It's very, very similar. It's also the same creature, literally the same being, same descriptions, everything, attitudes shows up in this.
I guess that's what you would call a real demon, right? The people, and yeah, this is a question to people that believe that, yeah, aliens are not real. And obviously, like, if you believe in aliens, or you believe that aliens don't exist, yeah, everybody got their belief, and that is perfectly fine, right? But the question is, because in my mind, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like, aliens and demons are two separate entities, two separate things. So I wonder, right? Like, people that believe in demons, I guess this is what you would call a demon, interdimensional being, essentially, right? And the craziest thing, Anna Luna Polina, United States representative. Yep, the one that is behind declassifying the UFOs and aliens file and all that, recently, and I made a video very recently, I'll link you that in a second, okay? By the end of it, recently came out, and she publicly said that interdimensional beings are real. Oh, shit. She was talking about interdimensional beings and declassifying all of the aliens and UFOs files. So, yeah, I mean, we're living in crazy times, bro, that United States Secretary is saying that. That's batshit crazy to me. So I guess this is what you would call, like, an interdimensional being, and then the aliens would be, intelligent life, but not from this planet, essentially. Yeah, that's what I think, but obviously, man, who knows what the real answer is.
Montauk experiment data. I would say that the depiction of the creature in the Stranger Things series is very accurate up against our remote viewing data. Now, the other aspects described was that they were able to open up a portal, or more than that, again, merge with another reality, another dimension, using technological means, primarily through the use of some form of radar and other frequencies causing this very deep, expansive resonance effect. There's also likely a resonance effects conducted in the brains and bodies of the people who they sent through, because they did send people through. Now, this had the effect of creating some sort of psychic component on top of everything else. Now, the people they sent through, according to our data, were kids. They sent kids to this other dimension reality because when they came back, if they did, some didn't, there was less of a chance that their minds would crack because they have more plasticity when they're younger.
Yeah,
and they were sent to this place that
they're easily suggestible, and also kids are more trauma resilient in a way. Maybe not. That's not the correct way to say it. There's a different word to describe what I have in mind, but it's just not coming up. It's just that, if you tell kids that, this is normal, because they don't know what normal is, right? If you're somebody that, let's just say, 20-year-old or more, and if you try to do shit like that, the mind wouldn't even comprehend. But to a kid, 5-year-old, 6 years old, 9-year-old, they're very suggestible, right? So to them, this is just gonna be like, fairy tales and shit like that, and it would be normal. If you say it's normal, they would believe it's normal. So they won't even struggle to believe that. They won't even go crazy. But somebody where they were taught that this is the reality, and then you flip their world upside down, quite literally, the way that we're hearing about this. Yeah, no, they would crack under pressure. They would not believe it. The mind wouldn't be able to comprehend it. And then, I mean, it's all in the mind, right? It's all in the mind. So they would really, they wouldn't be able to comprehend any of it. And that's gonna break them, essentially.
That was literally like right next door to our dimension. And they were sent to this place that was literally like right next door to our dimension. Now in Stranger Things, they call it the Upside Down, which is a good word for it. It describes it well because it seems to be this sort of darker, slightly mirror realm to where we are, but there are dangers with other beings there. And it's hard to find your way back if you lost sight of the area from which you went in. So because of that, if some wandered off, they would be lost to our reality forever. And mostly what happened is that the kids who did go through, if they survived or not got lost, they would stay as close as possible to the area where they went in.
Yeah.
If they did that, then they were more likely to make it out. Now on top of all this, we also have a very large MK Ultra component in order to enhance certain capabilities of the kids going through, on top of making them forget. So from the data that we have on all this, I would surmise that, yeah, indeed, the legends around Montauk are true for the most part. And I do believe at this point that that old project we worked on for the intelligence officer was connected into this.
Okay, I can't even begin to convey how exciting it is to confirm that at least the main gist of the experimentations going on at Montauk are real. We're not collectively crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't... That's the thing, though. What are your thoughts on it? You believe it? You don't believe it? Yeah, put it in the comments, right? I mean, it's very hard to say whether it's real or not. I guess what's real is us experimenting with it. Whether we achieve success or not, that's debatable. You know, that's a different thing. But 110%, we have experimented with all of it, trying to open portals. Whether we did or not, that's debatable. Some believe it, some don't believe it. Fine. But we 110% experimented with it. There's no denying that.
Craziest of all has to be that the famed beast of Montauk isn't just a figment of our conspiratorial imagination. Something crossed over into our dimension. Is it still here among us? With that said, though, Metaphysical has done show after show about the true nature of psychological operations in the disclosure community.
Shout out to Metaphysical, absolutely. And this is that video that I was talking about. United States Representative Anna Luna Polina talked about interdimensional beings. Check out this video on the screen and I'll see you right there.